Ashi, make sure you explain what a Samaritan is, all right, to our students. I've gotten a couple of questions about it. Thank you, students. Please ask whatever questions you have. Yeah.
We are live.
Thank you, Farsan. Hello, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you all today. To celebrate the spirit of courage, resilience, and determination, Skills for Education, in association with Euroschool Airoli and Aspire for Her, is back with one of its most loved initiatives, Still I Rise. A one of its kind talk series where women of substance and inspiration share their life experiences and lessons. And today, we have a change maker who truly personifies courage. Having been a member of the Juhu Citizens Welfare Group since 2003, she has had the opportunity to partner with BMC and other authorities to ensure good governance. The welfare group has developed 6 gardens on the 6.2-kilometer stretch of Juhu Beach, helping to free encroached lands, and is responsible for planting and nurturing close to 200 trees, thus protecting the environment. Today, the welfare group is often seen as a model citizens group, being the eyes and ears of the BMC. Beyond this, she has taken up issues such as plastic ban and distributed 10,000 cloth bags. She has worked as a coordinator of AGNI, Action for Good Governance and Networking in India, for the last 10 years and recently became a trustee of AGNI. While she works towards good governance, she plays a vital role in getting people to come out and vote to ensure people exercise their franchise by holding Meet Your Candidate events. I'm sure this session is going to leave us with numerous takeaways. So students, please help me in warmly welcoming the very dynamic Ms. Banatwalla, Ms. Zahida Banatwalla. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And well, Anansh, to answer, the question that was asked before about what a good Samaritan is. Well, it's a very helpful and a charitable person. And we know that from all the good stuff, that all the good things that Ms. Banatwalla has done so far, we're going to be learning a lot more. So Ms. Banatwalla, so far we already have 401, we have over 400 participants who've joined in. Is this your first time interacting with students?
Yes, it is on Zoom. Otherwise, I have addressed children in colleges or schools, but this is a new experience and a good experience at that.
Absolutely. And we're so excited to have you here. And I'm sure our students are bubbling with questions. Students, just an announcement before we begin. There is a pigeonhole link that has already been put in the chat box. If you'd like to ask any questions to Ms. Banatwalla, make sure you are putting it in the pigeonhole. The most upvoted questions, there is an option to upvote questions. The most upvoted question is going to be asked. So that's one thing that I just wanted to say before we begin. Another thing I'd like to say is thank you so much, Ms. Geeta Agarwal from Euroschool Airoli and all the other wonderful teachers who just joined us. It is truly a pleasure to have you here along with the kids. So thank you so much for all that you do, ma'am. Thank you. All right, with this, Ms. Banatwalla, are we ready?
Yes, please, let's go ahead.
All right. Ms. Banatwalla, before I begin talking about all that you have done and, asking you questions about your experiences, can you talk about, just let's understand what good governance and civic rights and responsibilities are, because a lot of our discussions are going to be based on that. So I think it'll make our discussions, really fruitful if we first talk about it.
That's right. So we begin by understanding this, that we are talking about Mumbai city right now, and similarly there are cities across the whole of our country. That our city is divided into municipal wards, and the Mumbai Municipal Corporation is the person, the organization that is responsible in maintaining these wards. While they maintain, we have also the elected representatives. When I say elected representatives, I mean our corporators, our members of the Legislative Assembly, what we call MLAs, and then we have the MP. So they help us actually to liaison with the MCGM, and we kind of understand how a typical ward works. So a typical ward in any part of Mumbai would have a population of anywhere between 40 to 50,000 people. And they would consist of housing societies, bungalows, business organizations, slums, gautans. In Juhu, we have a lot of gautans. And so typically this is how a ward would be. Now, to describe a ward, what all are the activities that go on? They go on and probably we don't even notice it, that there are roads that have to be maintained, there are stormwater drains that have to be cleaned, there is the street lighting, there is the garbage collection, there is the water supply, and basically all issues related to the comfort of the citizens and the good flow of life. Mm-hmm. Now, ideally, in an ideal world, it should be that one pays one's taxes and expects that the municipal corporation will take care of all what should be done. But that's not what happens here, and not in Mumbai, certainly. So at some stage, either as citizens, you become aware and you start doing something about it, or we have so many NGOs today. Then there is from the NGOs, there came a concept of having ALMs. ALMs is what is known as Advanced Locality Management, where a group of say 5,000 residents get together and put their energies towards maintaining that street or that locality, where they see whether the roads are cleaned, whether the lighting is adequate, whether trees are being trimmed, whether there is any nefarious activities taking place. So this is typically what happens. You may do this in your individual capacity also, where you would try to point out, but it is a struggle. Whereas when you get together as a group, you convey a message that you are doing this in public interest and for the larger public, and therefore they respect you more and you get better cooperation. So this is how one would say that you are looking at governance. This is what governance is about.
Right.
And from here, then there are many branches. There is law and order, so you connect with the police. There is the traffic issues, so you connect with the traffic police. And similarly, holistically, this boils down to good governance, where all aspects of the comfort of our lives is in this sphere. Right. So that's how you would explain good governance.
Right. And I'm sure, you explained the entire structure of it. And a lot of our students have joined in from Navi Mumbai. Your yes. School actually is a school in Navi Mumbai. I'm sure the system remains the same also.
In fact, better, because this is a newly developed area. Right. And my frequent visits there have shown me that it's a very well-planned city.
Correct.
You practically do not see slums, at least on the outer roads. And there is a lot of firsts to Navi Mumbai that from the statistics taken, that the quality of life is better. The city is well spaced out. They have very many green spaces. They have very many wet areas. They have a lot of mangroves which are well protected. And so it's an even better area than Mumbai. Because it is recently planned, yes.
The planning, absolutely. The planning behind it is where, I think areas like Juhu and, even the older, the ones that are following the older system kind of need to, revamp in that sense.
So it is like this, that typically Greater Mumbai starts from somewhere from Kolaba and comes up till Mahim.
Right.
And whatever got developed afterwards, and particularly the western suburbs, it's all very chaotic and very unplanned, but this is the way it is.
Right. I think we just have to work backwards now in that sense.
Yes, we have to.
Now that everything's already been planned, we need to figure ways around it. Well, that's very interesting. You spoke about ALMs, which I will, talk about in a little while, and the importance of, group over an individual trying to bring
Yes.
change. So
Yes.
before we talk about that, you have been doing this since the last 20 years.
Yes.
And I'd like to understand your inspiration behind this all. Like, how did you get into this?
I think destiny takes you where it is needs to take you. It happens that you just need a trigger somewhere. So around maybe about 28 years or 25 years ago, I used to walk my son to the bus stop where he would take his bus and go to school. And we would have like a 15-minute wait there by the time the bus came. And very oblivious to all what was happening. My son stood there content, but I used to watch the surrounding area, considering I had already been living in this area for maybe 15 or 20 years then, that how chaotic the whole system was. We used to stand by the Juhu post office. Right across the post office was one dirty, overspewing community bin, which had like 5-10 dogs there, some cows, loads of mosquitoes and crows. And where we used to stand, there were just like actually open stormwater drains where there were rats jumping in and around. And I used to always fear that my son would get bitten or we would get attacked or something like that. And probably then, while I stood there, I kind of made a resolution that something has to be done about this, probably at some opportune time. And much then happened from my son's school itself, where, being a Montessori school, they were very close to the environment and a lot was taught to them. They were in a very natural space, unlike very school-like atmosphere. They were in small cottages and all of that. And there I met some people who then in turn I knew were having NGOs and asked me to join. And that is the one of the first things we decided, that this community bin should go. What most people I noticed in the area did was they shut their windows. They didn't try to do something about it. And I think those days the concept also was not there. It was just that you kept a personal sweeper, he came and collected your garbage, he went and dumped it out, and then from there the BMC collected it. I mean, I can't even believe that we lived in a system like this. So the first things we did was that we closed this community bin, and we kind of went as a group to the BMC office. We are concerned with K West, so we went there. And they, of course, were very opposed to the idea because it meant more work for them. But as I said, when you go as a group, they have no choice but to entertain you, to accept what you are saying, and to work towards it. So that's what happened. And you'll be shocked when they actually broke down that community bin. We had colonies of cockroaches underneath, and we had to immediately take the services of the pest control department to help us control, because we were worried that this would now spread in the area. There was so much of foul smell, and somehow even people resist the idea. They also feel, this was going so well, we were doing this, now why do you want us to do that? Why do you want us to segregate the garbage? And the BMC mixes it up anyways. So you have to fight. There's an opposition all the way. And then once you join a group, then from garbage led to the issues of good roads, then it led to the issues of hawkers, then to better footpaths, and so on. And so one thing led to another, and I kept on getting deeper and deeper into this.
Right. Sorry, I just lost you in the...
No, I saw that your picture froze. So up till where did you catch me?
You spoke about, I'm so sorry for that. You spoke about how, the cockroaches, once the community...
So cockroaches, rodents, and all of that came out, and we had to get the services of the pest control to kind of take care of it. And people too were opposed to the idea. They didn't like it that we should close the community bin. It meant more work for them. They didn't like the idea that we should have segregated garbage because it meant more work. You have to be conscious as to, and this is one question where I would take it in the end. I would like to ask children whether they know what segregated garbage is and what it means to us and how we can take it forward. And just by segregating your garbage, how much you are helping the environment is a very important thing we should do. So like this, one thing led to another, then it was roads, then it was footpaths, then it was stormwater drains, then it was trees. So BMC is supposed to take care of every aspect of your life, everything that is concerned outside your personal property, which is in public domain.
Right.
And that's what we learned. And that's, as a group, we started working towards all such issues. So that is what got me into this. And I'm glad it happened when it happened, because very early in my life, I had learned one thing, that instead of cursing the darkness, you need to light a candle. And this was my candle, that I felt that either I kept on complaining or writing to the BMC, which goes on deaf ears, or I actually took up things in my hands and started making a difference. And I found that as you move around, many people join you.
Yeah.
Along the way, some people get disinterested. Garbage, cleanliness is not issues which everybody gets interested in, sanitation. But we have enough people whose voices are heard. And I think city-wise, AGNI has got representation in almost 24 wards. And we do get people motivated and work towards this. And then we realize that not only should the BMC have been doing their duty, there is also the elected representatives who should have been paying attention to this, which was not happening. Why this was happening? Because we were not paying attention to our voting habits. We were not concerned. We just felt, if you vote, so what? If you don't vote, so what? No, your voting is the most important thing that you need to do.
Right.
So that is my motivation in going on this path.
That was like a very profound, answer that you just gave. There were a bunch of things that I'd like to, talk about. You said something that, a lot of people, especially during the community bin, during that time, a lot of people were shutting their windows. I feel like a lot of us often end up shutting our eyes to a lot of things around us. And
yes, correct.
I just feel like, bringing that into light, bringing, making people realize the importance of it and how people still resisted that. It's like opening a can of worms, right? Like you don't want to get to it and dig deeper and realize that, there is a solution to this. So
there is a solution. Yes.
It's wonderful that you started off with that. And then over the last more than 20 years now, you've been able to, do so many things. Students who've joined us from Navi Mumbai, BMC is often called as NMMC in your area. So that is where, they are responsible for a bunch of things. But what Ms. Banatwalla also said, is that responsibility doesn't just end there. It also goes back to who you're voting for. Who are the people you're electing who are going to ensure that it ends up happening? So somewhere responsibility is also in your own hands. So thank you so much for bringing that into light. So I hope that, yes, of course, you're still not in that age range where you're going to start voting, but you can always influence the people around you, especially the adults in your life, to ensure that they are doing their responsibility the way they're supposed
to. Yes.
So that's great. Well, ma'am, we'd like to go to the next question now. And you also spoke about how over the years there have been a lot of people who've tried to shut it down, who've tried to not let it happen the way it's supposed to. So I'm sure there have been a lot of challenges that you've had to endure in this journey. Can you talk about those?
One of the major challenges is that people resist a new idea. They feel that, no, this is not going to work. Why are you doing this? And BMC is not going to change. But we have to understand that while BMC, as per their contract with people,
right,
when you pay your taxes, they are supposed to ensure that your collection is there. But they will not tell you that, if you segregate your garbage, it's going to be better, because what they do is what you call scavenging. When you give them mixed garbage, they kind of scavenge through it and take out all the plastic and the bottles and the metal and the glass and everything. And there is a lot of money in the scrap, which they try to then make that money. But in the end, they are creating a very big mess. What happens typically is that when the garbage gets collected from your door, it has got a long journey where it goes to Bandop and to Devnar and to Mulund and all these places, where right in the middle of the city are these dumps where people living around the area suffer from breathlessness, from many skin disease. Why? Because of the dangerous gases that the garbage emits. So we need to make sure that when we give garbage, it is that which will get composted, which will rot by itself. But if you mix a plastic bag, what typically happens, we actually stood on roads, on Gautans, and we witnessed that what people do is they take a plastic bag, they take all the waste from the house, they put it into that bag, they knot it up and they toss it onto the road. Now, tossed like this waste that is inside that bag will never get composted. It will just be rotting there for years within, and then somewhere it will find its way into the sea. So it is very important that you segregate the garbage. Ashi, are you there? I've lost you.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. So what we need to do is we need to keep these separate bins, and we need to segregate the garbage and hand it over separately.
Right.
Lots of efforts on our parts ultimately resulted in the BMC accepting that yes, this is important, and the shortage of landfills, that they started making it compulsory. Otherwise, people were getting fined. Right. And we are now handing, at least in K West, H West, and I think many other wards, we are now finding that we have a separate vehicle coming to take the dry garbage, and a separate vehicle coming on a daily basis to take the wet garbage. Right. And while this is one aspect, there are other aspects to good governance and to make our lives comfortable, is that footpaths. I don't know how many people have noticed that we practically do not have footpaths, which is for the use of pedestrians. It is more for hawking. Right. So that's another aspect that we have been changing. I am also part of the town vending committee, where we have actually walked the streets of our wards, not our wards, actually our constituency, which is K West, which consists of 13 corporator wards, where we have identified that a hawker should be here or should not be there. But ideally, there should be no hawker on any road or any footpath, because you are depriving the pedestrian of his right to safe walking on the roads. Correct. Then there is, of course, open spaces, which is another issue with us, where we feel that all parks, gardens should be well maintained, should be open to the public, and the beach. Right. Mumbai is so blessed actually to have this 6.2 kilometer stretch of natural beach with 8 natural accesses, where anybody can go for a breath of fresh air without having to spend 5 rupees. And that should be well maintained. So when you look at all what BMC should be doing, these are all aspects that they should be taking care of. Another thing which we miss out completely is a market. Most countries across the world will have a designated market area. We don't have that. We just have this unorganized sector where wherever you want, you have two hawkers sitting and you just go and purchase from them.
Right.
There are markets which are designated in the BMC plans. Every ward does have a municipal market,
Right.
but it will be for anything else besides marketing. There will be a Xerox shop, there will be a laundry, there will be a mechanical workshop, but there will be no vegetable and fruit vending there.
So a range of things actually.
Yes, a range of things. And then there is what is illegal hawking also, where even a hawker is basically given a registration number and a license to hawk in a particular area with a pitch that is of a particular dimension, 1 by 1. But they go beyond that. And topics which we don't like to talk about, but which are there, they are just kept pushed under the carpet, is a lot of bribes are paid, where the BMC police, traffic police look the other way and allow this to happen.
Right.
So this is where we come as watchdogs, and we, these are all the challenges on a daily basis, that there is the opposition from the hawkers. The hawkers do get to know that we are objecting. They do try to intimidate us and stop us from going to the BMC or to the police. These are challenges which sometimes can get scary, and sometimes you just kind of take the bull by the horn and say, no, we are going to do it and we are going to get it out. Right. And to a large extent, we have been successful in doing this. However, there's a Supreme Court order which says that a hawker has a right to living. Then my argument would be a pedestrian has a right to walking on the footpath.
Right.
How do you balance the two? By having hawking plazas.
Yeah.
So a little before the pandemic came in, we had kind of got into a structure where we were trying to see that we definitely get hawking plazas, we get designated hawking areas, and not this disorganized manner. Like the Supreme Court says, 100 meters away from the railway station, either side, there should be no hawking. So also from religious places, so also from educational places, so also from parks and gardens. But in reality, if you start looking around, it's not happening.
No, but in reality, like if you look at our trains also, our railway stations also, don't you feel that they're always surrounding those places the most?
And very dangerous. It's very dangerous, that area, to be blocked, because there can be a problem at any point of time. And where would people go? How would they bypass these hawkers?
Right. Right. Absolutely.
So all such rules are there, but I think rules are all on paper. On our everyday life, you will see that there's a lot of disorganization. And this is where the challenge was, to bring organization, to get people to adhere to the rules. We just live in a very, you could say, organized chaos.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Again, a lot of things that Ms. Banatwalla mentioned. Students, I hope you guys are making notes, because there are some really interesting things that she's just pointing out. And I'm sure if you also look around, there are a lot of things that you'll be able to relate to in general. You spoke about how we're often very resistant to change, and I think this applies to all of us. In some way or the other, we might not even know how we are promoting this. Now, after knowing this, I hope that you're, voicing out when someone's doing something incorrect, because as we've seen, things do change into, you can change things in a very positive way too. So it's very important that you're constantly bringing these things out. And ma'am, you spoke about a range of things. You spoke about waste segregation. At this point, I'd like to ask our students, how many of you already practice this? Or how many of you, found out about this for the first time today? You can use the chat box. It's a nice way to interact with our students too. We have over 500 participants, Ms. Banatwalla, at this point.
Yes.
So it's really amazing. That's the limit that we can probably have right now too. Students, please use the chat box and tell us how many of you already know about waste segregation. Okay, I can see a few of you are already doing it, which is great, which is very positive. All right, there are a bunch of them who have been doing it since a long time. Some know about it. I hope that you all start practicing it too. So it's very important to educate yourself on these things and start practicing it, because otherwise, we'll all be inspired. But it's very important that we take these things and convert it into action. Okay, I can see a lot of people know about it but have never done it. Well, I think this is an opportunity for you to start. We've already learned the benefits of it from Ms. Banatwalla. She also spoke about footpaths and hawking in general. How many of you have hawkers around your house? Who are typically sitting on the footpath and are selling vegetables and a bunch of other things. You can also put that in the chat box. I'm sure that I can tell you it's right under my house. It becomes so difficult to just generally walk to, and I think there are many. I can see in the chat box there are many near our society. So I think this is again a very important takeaway that while Ms. Banatwalla said that yes, they have the right to living, but it's very important that pedestrians also have the right to walking. And another thing, Ms. Banatwalla, at this point I'd like to talk about is cars. I think the way you spoke about how we should have like a hawking complex, I think parking in general too on roads, because there is a lack of space in our own buildings. A lot of these cars eventually end up on these roads. So do you think there is anything that's already been done for this at this point?
Actually, there are parking bays,
right,
but there is a charge involved, which people don't want to pay. We have got so used to getting away with everything without paying. So they resist the idea that we should have to pay. Secondly, you may not have that comfort that, here you park your car and you cross the road and you make your purchases. You may have to park in a bay which is a little away. You might have to walk that little distance, which you don't want to do. So that is another area why you resist. Therefore, what we are encouraging and discussing with the BMC is that you make your markets in such a way that you have some basement parking or something there where people have the comfort. Like when you enter a mall, the first thing you have to do is you go to a parking bay.
Right.
You park your car, then you take the elevator or you walk inside, and it makes your life comfortable. But you are doing that because you are in a mall. You will not go and park your car across the mall by the footpath, cross the road and go inside. Because you will worry that my car might get picked up, my car may not be safe there.
Right.
And actually in our country, the charges are not so high as one would see it abroad. We generally would pay 40 rupees an hour, 30 rupees an hour, maybe even less.
Right.
So people resist. This has got a lot to do with our habits also. That we have today become victims of the system.
Right. Right.
We have to change, and that is why what excites me today about talking to school children is that they are the ones who are going to take the city forward now.
Right.
They will grow up. They will one day become voters. They will elect their representatives.
Right.
And they will, I think some, like you see today, there are IAS officers and others. They will sometimes end up being in the Indian Administrative Services or some other, somebody might join the police force, somebody might join some other thing. They are the ones who have got now the challenge before them, that they need to look into this.
Right, right. At this point, we just conducted a poll to see how many students are practicing waste segregation, from our answers that we were getting on our chat box. The poll is still going on.
Okay.
But out of the 490 people, 285 have already voted. And 79% are already practicing waste segregation.
That's very encouraging news.
And
I'm
21%,
so happy to hear that.
21% are not yet. But I'm sure today, after today, I hope they're inspired to at least start somewhere. You know, if it's a small change
step in the right direction.
Absolutely. Even if it's a small step in the right direction, as you said, it's still better than no step at all. So I think this is very encouraging. Kids are still voting, but I can see it's going towards, it's still the ratio is the same, about the same. 21%.
And you know, while BMC was neglecting this topic, since at least the last 3 years, they are pushing for it. And but we have to be, while they are pushing for it, they are doing these things because there is shortage of space. We should be doing it because we want to protect the environment.
Right.
So how would you do? I mean, typically, if you had to go to the market, one would want to carry a cloth bag or any reusable bag, where you would stop the vendor from giving you a plastic bag.
Correct.
You would refuse to take it. If you refuse to take it, his habit will change also. He will know that these are people who are bringing their own bags and I have to just sell my goods to them.
Exactly. Right. At this point, like a bunch of students have also mentioned that, their society has made it compulsory when it comes to waste segregation. And I think that is something that most societies, if your parents are also a part of the committee, which I'm sure they are, you can always put it to them, put it across to them and ask them to introduce things like this in the society, because then bringing about that kind of change becomes a lot more easier when an entire society is on board, right? So I think, as Ms. Banatwalla also said, their group has been the eyes and ears since the last 20 years. It's very important that you also become very active and very alert when these things are spoken about, and you make sure that you are bringing something to the table every time these discussions are taking place, because you are the educated bunch of students, right, who can ensure change. So yes, I hope you continue doing that. That's amazing. With this, I'd like to move on to the next question, Ms. Banatwalla, for you. You spoke about how it's important that you make sure that your voice is heard, but many a times, it can be very difficult, especially if you are trying to do it individually. If you're trying to make your voice heard individually, it can be slightly difficult. So how to ensure that your voice is heard, especially when it comes to officials, especially when it comes to people who are not who don't have the same intention probably as you? So how do you make your voice heard to them?
See, as I said, individually, it's not possible actually to get it yourself heard. You become part of groups, you become part of ALMs, and also, when we started off in 2003, we would go and meet the BMC officials, we would meet the police, we would talk to them, but we also realized that the elected representatives did nothing. And it's part of their duty actually. They are not supposed to only come to you once in 5 years to vote, get your vote. Once they get voted, they are supposed to connect with you on a daily basis to know what you want. And so out of disgust, actually, we decided that we would elect a person who is known to us, who is one of us. And so it was the first time ever that in Juhu, in independent India, a citizens corporator was elected at a small cost of 70,000 rupees. That's all that we spent on his election campaign. And he won the election. That was like a big thing for us. And it was a wake-up call for all the other political parties to know that these people chose a citizen from amongst them because they do not trust us. So then we started a culture where we had designated monthly meetings with the BMC, a third Saturday of the month or first Saturday of the month, whichever was suitable to everybody. And we had our man, corporator, who got all the officials on the table and put it across to them that this area needs better water supply, this area needs this, there is a problem here, there is the scope for improvement there. And like that, a strong message was sent to all the political parties that you need to get your act together.
Right.
And that is what they did. They slowly started coming forward, wanting to connect with us, wanting to know from us what is it that we would like to see, what changes we would like to see. And in the 5 years, there was a whole culture change, not only in K West, but also across the city. Because across the city, the activists from all over joined in helping us get this election through. And from there on, a change came about where political parties would approach us. Then we started what is known as meet your candidate meetings. What that means is that once you know it has been declared that XYZ are the parties and ABCD are the candidates, you get all of them on one platform and you kind of prepare a citizens charter and let them know that these are the chronic problems that ail this area and how are you going to help us.
Right.
And again, you hear from him or her, why did she choose to stand for election? What are the changes she wants to bring? What sustainable changes are we going to see? And it became a table where we kind of had an exchange where we let them know that this is what we want done and this is what you need to do. And in turn, we got them to sign a document, and we also linked ourselves with ADR. ADR is Association for Democratic Reforms, where they did a case study, a background study of the candidates who were standing for elections. So one of the things we would highlight is their educational background. Sometimes you have a candidate who is 5th standard pass. He's standing for elections. He's going to control your life for 5 years. You have a guy who, or a lady who has got some criminal charges against her, who's got some police cases pending against her. Somebody has got a murder charge. Would you want to elect such people? Would you want to know more about these candidates? So, as children today, this is just to open your mind up that this is what the future is. This is where you will play a very vital role. And today what you can do is you can just check with your elders, your parents. Are you going to vote? Do you know anything about this candidate? And generally we use all the churches, the parish areas in most of the wards where we have these meet your candidate meetings, and we widely publicize these meetings, and we do get a very good turnout. AGNI has been working consistently to see that the voter turnout increases. We do not tell anybody whom to vote for. This is entirely your choice.
Right.
But we do tell them come out to vote. So where we used to get a percentage of about 42%, then 48%, in the last elections in 2017, we had a turnout of 52%. And this time in the elections which are next year, we are looking at least 55%. And what motivates even a voter is when they get results, when they see there is a change around the area. Otherwise, it's just an exercise in futility. Also, we work towards this with the Election Commission, that sometimes you have 6 candidates, but you feel that none of them is worthy of your vote. So what do? There is what is on the election box there, the EVMs. You have the electronic voting machines. You have a choice where it says Nota, none of the above.
Right.
You have a choice to press that button also, which then tells the political parties that if suppose there is a 10% of a typical ward who has used that option, that they are studying the background of the voters.
Right.
they are understanding that this person needs to be voted, this person is going to work towards the welfare, etc. So that is how we actually improve the governance, the responsibility, and get the BMC to work. So what does the elected representative do? They liaison between the citizens and the officials. Otherwise, it's a struggle. So then either you have the option of being part of an activist group, or you are just running pillar to post, you're writing letters. But we have found that since 2008, when we got Adolf elected to now, that you can see the difference that elected representatives are coming forward to help the citizens to bring about a change.
Absolutely. I think what is an important takeaway here is that firstly, you spoke about how a citizen from your community was elected, and with the amount of work that he had done, people voted, right? So he didn't have to spend, y'all did not have to spend a lot of money to ensure that he gets elected. So that I think what many people forget is that they spend a lot of money, but not a lot of work is done. So that
but why is a lot of money spent is because you are actually buying the votes.
Exactly. So I think it needs to turn around where a lot of work is done and very little money is spent. We also did a poll amongst the students where we asked them how many of them are active citizens in their localities.
Yes, and I can see the percentage. Yes,
you can see it's 55% who said yes.
That's heartening. Yes,
and 45% who are still yet to be active citizens. So I think this is a good wake-up call for us students also, that you can, based on all the things that Ms. Banatwalla also suggested, that you also must now start becoming active, must keep your eyes and ears open to all the things that are happening around you. And you can always collaborate. As she mentioned, you can always collaborate with the officials in your locality and keep suggesting changes, keep helping them out in whatever capacity you can. I think that's a very important takeaway right there too. Now, Ms. Banatwalla, we are going to be moving on to audience questions. We have a bunch of questions that our students have asked.
Yes.
I think due to a paucity of time, we are going to now quickly move into questions asked by our students.
Yes.
We'll just have a look at the Pigeonhole link.
Certainly, there's a question, Ashi, that's coming from Abi, ABI. I don't know what the full name of the student is, but if the student would like to ask this question, please raise your hand and we will allow you to unmute. You will not be able to unmute without our permission. So in case this is the question related to the BMC, it's been the most upvoted.
Yes.
Right, I don't see anybody raising their hand, so I'll ask the question on their behalf. The question that has come in is, you mentioned or at least implied that the BMC financially supported your ventures to improve the quality of public areas. But has there ever been anything in general that you have had to work on by your own without the BMC support?
I think one of the most significant movement that we had was related to Juhu Beach, where as if most people have gone to Juhu Beach, they would know that when you entered the Juhu Beach, you would see the food court. And typically the world over, when you go, even in passing, when you pass a beach, you should be seeing the beach and you should be seeing the sea. Now that was not happening, and the food court was like completely taking over, and the vendors were residing there, and that was their living quarters and everything. And that is where we had to go in and file a PIL, where it was a long battle for about 5 years. And what we were demanding is that the food court be relocated and the beach be free for everybody to enjoy, mainly the sandy area there. And so that is one thing we spent the money for the PIL, for the, everything that is related. Court cases are very expensive exercises. And it was just people's donations, and even the gardens that have been developed on the beach. Ideally, it should have been, this is all on collector's land,
Right.
but they should have been developed there. But we were just given charge of these lands with the condition that we would not ask for any financial help. We would keep it encroachment free. They would be free to take this land away from us at any point of time. And we did not have any proprietary rights over it. So because I'm concerned with the garden, which is closest to where I reside, this garden we developed by getting sponsors through their CSR funds. And for the last 12 years, we are maintaining this garden where you could say it's a complete citizens initiative. We have developed it, we are maintaining it, we are paying for it, and all the contributions come from citizens. There is no participation of any financial help from any of the authorities.
At this point, Ms. Banatwalla, I'd like to show a few pictures you had shared with me.
Yeah.
Of the beach.
Yes.
Students, you can have a look at what it was. I hope you all are able to see my screen.
Yes, it's
This
visible.
is what the Juhu Beach looked like.
Particularly in the monsoons.
And this is what it looks like today. So I'm just going to show it once again to you. This, can you just talk about the pictures to us? Was this how many years back?
This is in 2018. This is a typical monsoon site to see the beach. There's literally a 4-inch carpet on the sand. Why? Because throughout the year, 8 months, all that we do is we dump all garbage. You can see the amount of plastic that is there into the nalas. You know, we have got many nalas. Maybe the Navi Mumbai students would not know much about it because they don't have that system there. They have kind of harnessed their water bodies very nicely. Whereas in Mumbai, they are all dumping grounds. You can find anything from a sofa, a mattress to shoes, plastic, thermocol, everything there. All this gets discharged into the sea. From the sea, it remains inside for 8 months. During monsoon, there is a turn in the tide, and this is what the tide throws out. Now, BMC just appoints one cleaning agency who is supposed to clean. The contract, this money is so small that the contractor only cheats you all the time and tries to bypass, does little bit of cleaning, waits for the high tide to wash it away, and the low tide again exposes what has been hidden. We intervened here too, where we brought it to the notice the moment they give a contract for 6 or 7 years. The moment the contract ended, we stepped in and we said that we want to see a change in the contractor. The same contractor should not be given the contract again. They should also not be able, they should not even have one of the common members of this contract on the other contract. Generally, what happens is one director will be from the previous contractor and such. We said, no, they should have no association with the previous contractor. Would you believe that the contract, which was for 98 lakhs for 6 years, we worked on it where we took every aspect of the contract into consideration and worked out a contract where for 6 years, the contract value should be 24 crores. It was like shocking that they were giving it for this small amount. And my understanding is that when you give peanuts, you get monkeys, and that is what we were getting. Right. Today, the contractor that is there is answerable. He has got the money to spend. The cleaners are the same. The subcontractor is the same, but you can see the result, what it is. The beach is much cleaner today. They understand that when the high tide throws something, they are immediately supposed to clear it off. Where on a typical monsoon day, about 280 trucks worth of plastic used to be picked up. Today, it has come down to a much lower figure. and results are for everybody to see.
I think that's very, very positive, and I hope students this inspires you, and it makes you want to contribute in some way too. Thank you so much, Ms. Banatwalla. At this point, we'll take another question. We're slightly, running out of time. So, yes, Anansh, you're on mute.
We
Yes.
have a question from Jia. Jia, please go ahead. Jia Rathi from 8C. Go ahead. She's
Hello,
been wanting to ask this
Good
question.
morning. Ma'am, I had a doubt that, can you explain more about EVM machines having choices of Nota? That what happens when you click that choice?
So it is like this, that previously we used to have where we had in polling booths, we would cast our votes with paper ballot papers.
Right.
Now that system is not continued anymore. There is a EVM machine which has got let's say there are 6 political parties that are standing for elections. So against their name, there is a button and there is a light. And when the voter presses the button, that light comes up and that kind of registers your vote. So there are, as I said, there are these 6 or 7, as many political parties that are there. And then there is the last one, which is the Nota, none of the above. And you, in complete secrecy, cast your vote on this machine, which registers your vote. And that is when the counting begins. They have a system of electronically counting the votes. I also got an opportunity to once be there when the counting begins. It's a very secretive and confidential exercise where when you go inside, you see the election commission people opening up the ballot boxes and these EVM machines and starting the counting process. And there is a screen which kind of registers the number of votes that each candidate has got. So that is what an EVM machine is about. Is that answering your question?
Yes, Jia. Does that answer your question? Awesome.
She actually more specifically also wanted to know about the Nota option, the none of the above option, and how does it benefit to be voting Nota?
See, in reality, in an ideal world, one should not have to use that option because the votes kind of get frayed. You don't get a perfect result. So, but sometimes in desperation, people have asked the election commission for this choice. That what if I don't like, what if I don't think that any of these candidates are worthy of my vote? Then what do I do? So then this Nota option was created. But in an ideal world, it should be that the candidates should have such qualities where a person would be happy to vote for that person. And today the system has changed, at least in Mumbai, it has definitely changed, where we connect with the elected representatives on a daily basis. We are on WhatsApp group with them and they kind of put the BMC officials on WhatsApp group with us. And on a daily basis, if I see something happening on the road when I'm going, I'll immediately take a picture, I'll post it. The elected representative already knows, all right, this is what is happening. He or she in turn will put a quick message for the concerned department to pay attention and we take it forward. So while a lot has changed, it's only in few pockets of the city. We could have better results across the city. Does that answer your question, Nota? I'm sorry, Anand.
Yes, Ms. Banatwalla, I think it definitely answers Jia's question. Thank you so much for that. Students, we have time for another 2 to 3 questions at max. I will also, Ms. Zahida, if we could keep the answers slightly short, we'll be able to entertain more questions as well. Because there are a lot of questions in Pigeonhole as well that have come in. Very quickly, we will allow Praneeth Kiran Malik. Praneeth Kiran Malik, if you are around, I will allow you to unmute yourself. Give me 1 minute. Yes, you have raised your hand as well. Go ahead, ask your question. It's been most upvoted on Pigeonhole.
Just one question. What means suggest to today's children and youth who are now being, neglected and being careless nowadays. Uh, and cleanliness has become a subject, to be solved in this today's world. So, what do you suggest?
I am not getting your question clearly.
Okay, so let me repeat it once again.
Huh.
So, like you see in today's world, the children and the youth are being neglected,
Huh.
and moreover, like they have become careless, and they are most of the time they are into social media. So, like, what do you suggest
Yeah.
to keep themselves aware? And cleanliness has become a subject to be solved.
Huh.
So, so what are the ways that you suggest?
See, this is a very personal thing also. If a child wishes to pay attention to a particular topic, he has the choice and the freedom to do so. However, in schools, this can be brought up in a very big way. It can be a subject. Hygiene today, I think, is largely taken care of because of the pandemic, where we have been taught what hygiene and sanitation and what role it plays in our life. So schools can definitely help on this topic, is my take on this.
Definitely. At this point, Ms. Banatwalla, I'd also like to tell you that we have a lot of college students who've joined us. And these are students who are in a position to vote. So I hope that they're also learning that it's very important, based on what you had earlier spoken about. It was that, you must do your research before you vote. The Meet Your Candidate initiative is, I think, a very successful one. And I hope that the others are also able to. Does this happen everywhere else, Ms. Banatwalla? Or is this only in your ward?
No, across Mumbai, we have even voter registration camps where the moment we know that children turn 18, we hold these camps in colleges where we take help from the election commission and we start the voter registration. It is first very important to get registered. Once you have registered, naturally, when the time of elections come, you will get your voter slip and your voter card and everything. And from there, you take this up. But everything boils down to being aware of what is going on. That is where then your participation comes in.
Right.
Whether it is, your city, the condition it is in, or whether it is about voting, everything, there has to be an awareness.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, we'll quickly take a couple of more questions. We have time for about 2 more questions. A lot of questions have been asked. Students, what we will do for you is that we will definitely route these questions to Ms. Banatwalla, and we will ask her to answer these questions if possible. And we'll share a small podcast or something to that effect, if possible. Another question that has come in via Sharvi Deshmukh. And it's a very interesting question. For the benefit of time, I will basically ask this question on Sharvi's behalf. Sharvi's asked, what was the greatest challenge you faced being a Samaritan? I'm sure she's probably asking about, all the challenges. There would probably be some threats that you have faced. So
we do face threats also. And the biggest challenge is actually getting people to change their mindsets. It's very difficult to get people to change their mindset, to even accept that a simple thing like garbage segregation is possible. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to do it. And now and then, you get caught in a situation where you find that a BMC official or a police is not kind of wanting to cooperate with you, and you have to kind of take them on, and probably you become a victim of their ego, or if ego, you could say, for want of a better word, that you sometimes do catch even officials on a wrong footing, and when they are pulled up, they don't like it. So that's quite a challenge, that on one hand it is their duty to do it, and on the other hand they resist doing so.
Thank you so much, Ms. Banatwalla. There's one very earnest question that's been asked, and I think it's important to address it. Soumya Anand,
Yes.
could you please unmute yourself, Soumya? I'll allow you to unmute yourself. It'll be great if you ask this question yourself. It's a very earnest question, a genuine question that I feel every child probably is thinking about right now. So go ahead, Soumya. Soumya, you're unmuted yourself. Go ahead, unmute. Yes,
Yes,
go
sir.
ahead. Yes, speak up.
So, ma'am, I had a question
Yeah.
regarding what if we point out the mistakes of our adults and they shove us away, saying you're a child, act like one, or shove us saying something similar to that sentence. What do we do regarding it?
See, which area do you reside in?
Soumya, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Soumya, I'll help you. Yes, go ahead.
Which area do you reside in?
Ma'am, I live in Pune.
Okay. Now, even in Pune, actually, Pune has got a very good system as far as garbage collection and segregation and all are there. And to a large extent, it is these Punawalas that are involved in that collection. However, there are ALMs concept is there in Pune also. If it's not ALMs, they are also known as resident welfare associations. You kind of need to connect with the adults around the area and point out to them that, I am observing this, or shouldn't it be done, or how can I help you in this matter? And I'm sure that they won't write you off or won't reject your observations.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, so we need to frame the question in such a way that they will not.
Yes, they will
not feel
respond to it. Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Thank you, ma'am.
yes. Welcome.
All right. I think with this, we are almost done with time. I will try to just have in one more question. Let me try and accommodate one more question. Let's see, which is one of the most upvoted questions. All right. One question that has come in is, how would one enforce the importance of educational qualifications in governments to increase the effectiveness of their work? There is something in this regard, Ms. Banatwalla. I know that a lot of citizen groups have been doing, and I think there was something to the effect of, you sharing details of the educational qualifications of representatives who wanted to get elected. Would you like to shed some light on that as well?
See, one of the ways of ensuring that we get people who are well qualified and educated is by not voting for anything less. If you choose a guy who's between 5 candidates who's a 12th standard pass and reject somebody because he's of another party, we tend to be very
Partisan in nature.
clannish. Yeah, we want to support a particular party. Particularly in the corporation elections, one should look only and only at the qualities of the candidate and not the party. Because that he or she works closest to you, and it is very important for them. If that person is 12th standard pass or fail, we don't know. You look at it in your own perspective, that if you are a graduate and if you are a 12th standard educated, what would be the level of awareness between the two? So same would be with them. That means they are into standing for elections for some other purpose other than good governance.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Ashi. I think we are done with a lot of questions and answers, and thank you so much. I'm so sorry we could not accommodate the others. I think it's now time to move on to the last part of the session. Ashi, please do go ahead.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ms. Banatwalla. Just a
My
few
pleasure.
things, just a few things. I think we've learned a lot today, which I will be talking about very shortly. But I hope that today, one very important takeaway while you are engaging with Ms. Banatwalla is realize the importance of action. I think how things have inspired her, how she has taken on to challenges and turned them into positive actions is something that we can all learn from her. I'd also like to thank our supporters in ensuring that we can interact with someone as as big and amazing as you, Ms. Banatwalla, we have our ELPRO International School, ELPRO and Euro School Airoli, Ms. Geeta Agarwal, who's joined us. Thank you so much, ma'am, for ensuring that we can talk to students, and we had an amazing time with our students too. We also
Geeta ma'am, in fact, I'm so sorry to interject, Ashi. Geeta ma'am, you have been a social sciences teacher for so many years, and now, of course, the principal of Euro School Airoli. I'm sure when we talk about civic sense, I know all the activities that are done at Euro School Airoli. Ma'am, would you like to share your views on this particular conversation? I know how passionate you are about these things.
Thank you, Anansh. Thank you, Ms. Banatwalla, for being a part of this interaction. I would just like to tell our children that these are our real heroes. These are the people who work, and this is what you need to be inspired to become. Yes? So the heroes that are there on the cinema screens are not the real heroes. These are the ones, people like Ms. Zahida Banatwalla are our heroes. People like Anansh are our heroes, who get people like these for us, who are constantly working with children and with schools to ensure that there is a change. So that's the reason I wanted my children to be a part of this interaction, and we're really, really looking forward to your support, Ms. Banatwalla, because we have a number of programs that we conduct as a part of the UMind and the Go Green project, which we will love to collaborate with you, so that we are able to to as grade 5 and grade 6 and middle schoolers, because I think, like you said, it is for these children that they need to these children need to become aware for themselves, because our times we have very less times on our hand, but they need to do something for themselves, and what the adults have damaged, these guys need to take complete charge. So like the child who asked the question, that what if adults rebuke her and they don't encourage? You have Malala, you have Greta, you have so many children who have taken charge. So what is stopping you to take charge and make a difference? So children, begin. We have 3,500 children in Euro School Airoli. So if everybody tries to do something, I think every small change will become a big change.
Yes.
So I really enjoyed this Saturday morning, and I'm really looking forward to interacting with you again on a different platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Agarwal, for that very inspiring talk. I'd also like to call upon Ms. Madhura from Aspire from her. Madhura, thank you so much for joining in. Aspire for Her has also put in the link if you'd like to join in. They're doing some amazing work.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
No, it was lovely to hear Ms. Banatwalla, and so happy to actually have a conversation with the difference, and I really echo Ms. Agarwal's views as well. So Anansh and team, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to participate in this lovely conversation. At Aspire for Her, what we try to do is motivate women to enter and stay in the workforce. We've had some fantastic partnerships with SkillSphere. In fact, a few days back, we did our all-female Model United Nations, where we had invited some of the leaders from UN Women and UNGC to also be there. And it was a fantastic experience for all of us, a huge learning experience as well. But, I think it's very important to get young minds into conversations like what you did just now, as well as about thinking about the gender gap index in India, because currently we are in a very difficult situation. We are literally at the bottom of the pile in terms of economic participation of women. And we know that there's $1 trillion opportunity for our country if we actually get more women to work. So that's what we try to do. We try to motivate women to enter either employment or entrepreneurship or education, and we want to start young. And that is why, our community here at SkillSphere is so special for us. And for everybody who's listening in, I know a warm invite from my side to join Aspire for Her. Ashi, maybe you can put the link or something if it's possible.
Yes,
that'll be lovely.
Already in the chat box. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Yes, Anansh, thank you so much for making this happen too.
Thank you
It's
so
an
much.
absolute pleasure. I just want to thank Madhura and Aspire for they're doing some great work, and this is just our way of trying to engage all of you students. We keep doing these Till I Rise talk series sessions on different Saturdays with different women of substance, different women of power, different women of influence, and most importantly, women of passion like Miss Zahida Banatwalla. She's somebody who's known me since I was a 6-year-old child, so I'm so glad to be interacting with her at this kind of on this kind of a forum and platform, and seeing her inspire so many students. And we really are extremely thankful to the entire community of Euroschool Airoli. It's a home school for us. I've been attached to this school from the very beginning. From the very beginning of our inception, was very green behind the ears when we started off. I remember coming up to Geeta ma'am's office and talking to her about some of our programs. That was years back, and we're just glad to see how all of you students have joined us today. It's very important. We are going to be sharing an assignment with all of you who have registered. See, the most important part of this entire thing is not the talk. It's not the certificate that you'll get for submitting the assignment either. Please trust me, that certificate beyond a point is of no value. None of these certificates that you get for any event that you participate in, and I'll give it to you in writing, are of any value. It's the learnings, it's the key takeaways from each of these sessions that is of value to you. So when we share this Google form, when we share this assignment, which has a few key takeaways, it's a reflection based assignment. It's going to ask you what you have learned from today's session. That's the most important part, because I know, and Geeta ma'am and I were just talking on the side as well, there are many such talk sessions that keep taking place, and you do listen to some great speakers sharing a lot of great views. But at the end of the day, if you don't take away things and you don't try and apply them, especially from a session like this, where we are talking about being a good Samaritan, it's probably going to be a great 1 hour, but a futile exercise in the long-term process. And as educators, it's very important that we sustain this learning. All right. So please do make an earnest effort to fill up this assignment, not for the certificate, because we'll send the certificate to you if you just fill up one line in the assignment as well. But the point is that try and use this as a great learning experience. That's what all of us are very, very motivated about. And I'm sure if you'd like to thank Ms. Banatwalla for her time on a Saturday morning, this is the best way that you'd be able to do so.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Anansh. And I hope students, the assignment link is going to be put in the chat box. Please make sure that you fill in. And as Anansh mentioned, it's very important that you take on to these learnings. So Ms. Banatwalla, through our session today, we have spoken about a range of things. We spoke about good governance. We spoke about your inspiration, your challenges behind things. And you've also spoken about the importance of making your voice heard. You gave us some amazing techniques to ensure that our voice is heard. One thing is for certain, that if we don't step up, if we don't do something about it, nothing is ever going to change. So students, I hope you take on to this learning, and I hope that you continue performing and keep being active citizens, as you all answered in the poll. You keep being the eyes and ears of your surroundings, keep mentioning things to your parents, to officials who are in charge, and I'm sure we will see change. So thank you so much, Ms. Banatwalla. I'm extremely grateful to have had the opportunity.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this opportunity.
Your inputs and your thoughts have really given us so much to think about, and to have someone like you, to have someone of your stature, to have someone who's done so much work for the last 20 years is truly an honor. So thank you so much once again, ma'am.
Thank you.
We hope to interact with you in the future as well.
Certainly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Geeta ma'am. Thank you, Madhura. Thank you, all you students. Thank you, everyone. I have shared the assignment link in the Zoom chat section as well. Please do fill up the assignment.